So I think I'm going to call up another incredible storyteller to the mic. Speaking of someone who really embodies strength and is able to connect the dots in such a tender and moving way, this is someone who's been really active with our writing workshops. She's been a part of our MFA performances and just an important part of the subject community overall. So let's give a big hand and extra love on the mic for Hafsa, everyone. Oh, Hafsa, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being in this space. It's been a year now of these virtual open mics, and I'm just really glad that you guys are really putting in the effort to keep having them, because I really appreciate this space. And so a big thank you to the people who organized this. You guys are wonderful. I'm going to share a very short piece that I wrote about leaving Alston, which I will be soon, and just some reflections on that. So this is called Grit City. 1. In Chicago, we would have called you back of the yards. In New York, the meatpacking districts. But in Boston, you're called distinguished for your history, just like everything else in this state. But truly, you are grit emplaced in this city, this strange and foreign city. And the fact that the grit sometimes refuses to be removed is what makes it wonderful. You can see it in the anti-fascism, anti-carceral graffiti that covers the bridge over the 90, or in the weathered look of a once brightly colored mural, or in some of the houses, shingles falling, paint chipped. In Boston, such grit is to be admired and applauded. The city is full of wealth previously unimaginable to me. An old wealth, the kind that wears Lululemon and a Range Rover, but also says, oh, my great-great-grandfather started that newspaper. Where I come from, Los Angeles for a stint and Chicago since childhood, wealth wore very different shoes. Boston wealth is not Laguna Niguel, I live in a fake Italian mansion on the ocean wealth. It's not, I made us reservations at Alinea wealth. This wealth came here on the fucking Mayflower. This wealth has always said, you can own as much Lululemon as you want. You will never be me. 2. In the right light, you can see it in the pathways between your tiled flooring. Where the tiles peel, they bleed the stuff. It's infecting. And when it infects you, you have to take it with you somewhere else. And you can think, I never asked to be part of this. Please forgive me. I thought I had no other choice. 3. Alston is full of old trees, though I'm sure they too will be felled. There's so much to make room for that the room itself doesn't matter much. I was so rarely told what this place used to be, from the Massachusetts Confederation of Tribes to the newly migrated families, to the blue-collar workers. But just in the act of looking at it, I have always known what this place was going to become. The 5/1 construction built for whom I'll never know. I just knew I wasn't invited. The new Harvard Business School monstrosity, the building with the Trader Joe's and the dormitory-style housing for 30-year-olds. And honestly, I'll probably forget what it looks like once I've left. Maybe in the far reaches of my brain where lesser memories live, it will reside in the same place as my memories of sitting in Filter in Wicker Park in 2005 before it became a Bank of America, or walking around Echo Park Lake at sunset, surrounded by Mexican-American families having picnics before white moms with strollers moved in. I may recall all of this later, in my 40s or 50s, when I'm in a generation of people who will like to say, oh yes, I remember what it looked like before all of the gentrification buildings sullied the sky, reflecting only each other in their over-large window panes. I remember what it was like before it was only big box stores, ones you can go to anywhere in the suburbs and the cities, out in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter now, because it all looks the same. Yes, I remember back when it was all part grit and part shine, and not really in the way that you're thinking, because it wasn't half and half. It really was just all sitting on top of each other in a big mess for a while. And I will say these things in a manner that suggests that I had nothing to do with it, that it just happened to me and to everyone else I know while we were just standing by, hands cupped over our eyes to look up as the crane lifted more and more, lifted higher and higher. 4. Here they are, the things you go through without thinking of them much until you're done with them forever, and you realize, that was so hard, sometimes needlessly so. And I did it, and I'm a different person now, so I can see what I've done and be proud and nostalgic and feel the pain of the process. But when you're living in the grit, you don't always see it that way. It's because you're gritty too, in your own weary way. So trying to be tough enough so that toughness becomes who you are. And then there you are, your tough stuff. But this, you realize, is what you've been told persistence looks like. In reality, though, the resemblance is slim. Thank you.
Thank you, Hafsa. There's so much love in the chat just for all of your imagery. I think people really appreciated some of your lines, like the buildings reflecting on each other, the analysis you brought around like different types of wealth and what it means to be resilient. And I think also like being resilient, but also being, I think, the unfairness of having to be resilient and reflecting that in a lot of your imagery. And uh it I think you brought so much power to the space in that. So thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing. And I really, really hope that your pieces are out in the world. You know, if folks have socials they want to drop, any projects they want to plug, like definitely do it. We want to support you and we want to be here for you.
I will say that I thank you for the reminder, Pyle, because I am working on putting some pieces of mine together into like a little published
Yes!
bound volume. So if you are interested, I'll leave my Instagram in the chat. It's not finished yet, but people have asked for some form of my work where they can read it because not everybody wants it to be listened to, I guess, all the time. So, so yes, I'll leave my Instagram and feel free to send me a message. Thanks.
Yay!
All right, well, thank you, Hafsa, for that piece, which I think just resonated so much in terms of how we react, how we interact with the places we inhabit and how they change over time and not always for the better. So I hope wherever you end up after Alston treats you kindly, even as we continue to grapple with these issues across geographies.